Right now I am driving, and I am doing this in honor of OCD Awareness Week, just to kind of show how it's possible to eventually do something that you're absolutely terrified of and live well and have a good quality of life. So when my OCD was really, really bad, I completely stopped driving. I was so afraid of it because I had this fear that I would hit someone. And it was super irrational because it didn't matter if I didn't even see anybody around. No pedestrians. It could be just a couple cars on the road, and I'd go over a bump and I'd somehow think that, oh my gosh, that must have been somebody. I'd have an urge to check my rearview mirror, to possibly drive back, to keep an eye out on police reports. And the logical part of me knew that I didn't hit anyone. But the thing with OCD is it is often referred to as the doubting disease because it makes you doubt what might seem nonsensical to somebody else, but to the person experiencing it, it can feel so real, and you can kind of just be overcome with this feeling of despair and guilt, and it can be really hard to function and get through the day. So when I started treatment for OCD, I had to do intensive cognitive behavioral therapy, specifically exposure and response prevention, and it involved driving. And when I first started treatment, the driving was literally in an empty parking lot with my husband in the passenger seat, to keep an eye out for hitting people, which again, I knew I wasn't actually doing. And gradually I continued to up the ante until I was finally driving on my own. And if I thought that I hit somebody, I wasn't allowed to do compulsions, so compulsions would be checking. And so just as a side note, I feel like this is a good opportunity to comment on why it is so hurtful when people say, oh, I'm so OCD. They say it like it's something funny or just a little personality quirk. Meanwhile, I felt so debilitated by the disease, especially when it was at its worst, that if I were to drive and got triggered, which would be thinking I hit somebody, even though, again, rationally I knew I hadn't, I would often be in a state of depression for a few weeks at a time. It would be hard to get through the day. And even now, even though I'm doing a lot better and I drive every day to maintain my progress, sometimes I still get triggered, and sometimes I'll be heading to work, I'll get triggered, and I can get back into that state where everything feels hopeless, and I feel like I'm this awful person, this bad person, and I feel guilty, and I want to check, and I want to figure out, did I actually do it again, knowing that I didn't, and it can make it really difficult, and sometimes it scares me when I get in that state. I'm scared that, what if I stay in this state this time? But then I have to remind myself, this is what OCD does, this is how it tries to get you. I've come such a long way. There was a point in time where never in a million years would I think that I would be driving willingly.